Someone who's done some exploring of the fish's central nervous system is the author of Do Fish Feel Pain, Victoria Braithwaite. She's in Pennsylvania. Joining us from Scotland, the epicentre of British aquaculture, is the head of the Scottish Fishermen's Federation, Bertie Armstrong. Ms. Braithwaite, why on earth are we worrying about this?
Well, as you've just said, you know, the information we have now and have been gathering over the last decade is that fish, just like birds and mammals, have very similar pain processing pathways, and it looks like they experience pain in the same way that birds and mammals do. So if that's the case and we extend birds and mammals' welfare, then logically, why not fish?
This particular concern is with farmed fish. By your argument, we should extend it to all fish caught on the high seas as well.
Absolutely, although of course that's an interesting and difficult area in its own right. I mean, from an ethical perspective, you could argue that unlike a farmed fish, fish in the wild has lived a very full and long life out. It's been free to roam the seas as it wants. And perhaps from a utilitarian or a cost-benefit argument, you know, the short amount of suffering it may go through at the end, you know, maybe that's justified in terms of harvesting fish at sea. Now, alternatively, you may take the same approach as we're doing for farmed fish now and say, well, given that we have better technology, we know how to more humanely kill fish on fish farms, perhaps we should be transferring those kinds of ideas and technology to sea.
What do you make of this argument, Bertie Armstrong?
I am here with a slightly nervous curiosity. Nervous because I'm frightened that forgive me, Ms. Braithwaite, it does sound cranky. And I'm a little nervous that this crankiness gets extended to wild capture. We're part of a food chain. We don't get eaten much, apart from presumably the odd safari accident. But the killing happens for food all the way along. Now, there shouldn't be gratuitous suffering doled out. On the other hand, fish, wild capture fish, accounts for about 15% of the world's protein. So it's got to be continued. And I'm nervous that we apply elements of crankiness to this. Wild capturing of fish is at the end of as Ms. Braithwaite has said, hopefully a long and happy life, has been happening since biblical times, and is not regarded, frankly, as cruel. So I'm not quite sure why we're having the argument about...
Ms. Braithwaite, do you feel you're a crank?
No, I don't think so. I'm a scientist, and I think we need to use science to inform the decisions that we make. And in the same way that you know, we want to make those careful, informed decisions, you know, good commercial decision making doesn't have to be mutually exclusive to that. And you know, I think absolutely we want sustainable fishing. We want sustainable fishing practices, and you know, if that's going to include humane killing, so be it. And it's something that I think consumers are increasingly interested in, and consumers have this right to have, or I think they are right to have this longer term view. And just because we've done something, you know, traditionally for a long way or historically, doesn't mean to say that we can't use new information or new technologies to improve the way that we do things.
Mr. Armstrong, I mean, if it is the case, as Ms. Braithwaite suggests, that fish do feel pain, surely we should be expected to accord them the same sort of consideration as we afford farm animals. Well,
firstly, please, I didn't wish to label Ms. Braithwaite as a crank. I'm nervous about crankiness being applied to the fishing industry. The balance of evidence, yeah, of course, Ms. Braithwaite's scientific credentials are apparent, but the balance of scientific evidence is that fish do not feel pain in the same way as humans do. It's just plain different. And my worry is about the volume capture. We will catch in the Scottish fleet approaching 250,000 tonnes of mackerel. It's caught in a volume way. Now, they're not murdered, they're not badly treated. In fact, they're pumped into freshwater tanks, into refrigerated seawater tanks. But they're not handled individually, and it is not possible to catch that sort of volume of fish and handle them individually. Therefore, the real question is, what can we afford to do, and what is it sensible to do? That's the crankiness element that I'm trying to be careful not to insult anybody, but to guard against.
Ms. Braithwaite, do you accept there are certain practical difficulties in the consideration that you're suggesting is extended to fish?
No, for sure. And I just want to pick on something that Mr. Armstrong said there, which is that fish don't feel pain the same way that humans do. I mean, that's a given, absolutely. But then we don't think that farm animals feel pain in the same way that humans do. But again, we are willing to afford them welfare rights and humane killing. So yes, things potentially become difficult. Harvesting large amounts and large catches of fish, absolutely, these are technically challenging. But there are experimental fleets in Denmark and Norway that are modifying trawler boats and that are expressly trying to devise better, more effective ways of maintaining fish within the water. So in the same way that we've just heard that mackerel were pumped into seawater vats, you know, bringing fish on deck through large trawl nets and letting them suffocate on the surface of the deck may be something that we can avoid if we can actually pump those fish into vats of water within the boat.
Thank you both very much indeed. Thank you.